Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 6, Crypto 101, with your host, Link Speaker.
And Crypto Kai.
In today's episode, we have a lot to cover, so strap in while we dive into what blockchain is, smart contracts, a little bit more about Chainlink, crypto volatility, and much more. So, let's dive right in. So, guys, we wanted to take this episode in a little bit of a unique direction and allow this to be the episode that you guys send your friends and family to more so explain what crypto is and where the space started. And this kind of gives you guys a tool to allow someone else to properly explain crypto to any of your friends or family. So, what do you say, Crypto Kai? Do you think that sounds like a good idea?
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, I know for me personally, I've been, trying to not necessarily link pill people, but I guess just crypto pill people in general. And it sometimes when you're on like in the moment on the spot, it becomes hard to possibly think of the right things to say to make each person feel comfortable with this new space, even though it's been around for quite a while now, but it's fairly new and it has a lot of fear behind it for a lot of people. So I think this could be a great thing, a great tool for many of our listeners and listeners to come.
Agreed. And I think the big thing here is a lot of people just don't know about crypto and they kind of read the headlines, right? Of the this blockchain based stuff is hard to track because that's what the Treasury Secretary said, or that Bitcoin is used for illicit activities for underground, criminal organizations, right? And it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, to start with the first point, I kind of brought up that the Treasury Secretary had pointed out that Bitcoin is hard to trace. Crypto Kai, could you kind of explain for our listeners a little bit more about blockchain and just kind of how stupid that statement is?
Yeah, so that couldn't be further from the truth, as you and I both know. Um, the blockchain is a completely trustless system and completely transparent. So, kind of looking at what is the blockchain in like more of a definition sense, just to exactly quote, blockchain is a shared immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network. A blockchain network can track orders, payments, accounts, production, and much more. So anything that goes in and out that has some sort of a data attached to it that is on the blockchain is given a set, in most cases, a transaction hash, and each one is unique to each individual data. So, and you can look into each of those hashes and see exactly what's going on. I mean, saying that this is untrackable, it couldn't be a further stretch of the imagination. I mean, I don't know about you, but this it's so degrading to the space as well that that was even a statement associated with the blockchain and crypto in general.
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, when I read through that statement, it was more along the lines of, you know, I want to educate these people on what this space is, and the technology that is propping up the DeFi revolution starts with blockchain, guys. That is the first building step to any crypto project is a blockchain, right? So that is step 1. And how it works is it has these nodes all around the world constantly verifying, constantly facilitating the recording and the tracking of the assets within inside its network. And it's a beautiful system that is honestly, I think, future proof, if not close to it. And so when we talk about why is blockchain important, and why is it important to the future, I think the big thing here is that it is a immutable ledger, right? That means that once something is submitted to the blockchain, it's submitted and verified. You can't change that. There's no changing. Oh, once it's submitted, I want to take it back off the blockchain and change it. Once it's starting to be verified, it's verified. So that's the beautiful thing about it to me. And the second part, Crypto Kai. I mean, where do you see blockchain being, world changing, life changing, if not, a part of their lives to the everyday person?
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely think that in where we are today, kind of what you were saying about this being immutable. Once it's there, it's there, and that kind of goes into a little bit of a kind of a different diversion in the road where you can take this. And I mean, since it's an immutable ledger, that also means that all this verifiable data can be used as a security sense as well. So when we're looking at the world that we're living in today, I mean the attacks and different things in our like the legacy systems and just in like the internet space and on all these different networks and companies in general, um, they're evolving faster than the mitigations to protect against it. And I think this can kind of go against a lot of different things like that and secure this data to make sure that one, it nothing can be fraudulent anymore because everything's going through a verified blockchain and is being validated by individual pieces in the blockchain. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I mean, I don't see why, companies don't use this. And then going into a deeper dive, it secures all of your information as well. Um, and there's many different use cases that can be put on to the blockchain as well to kind of give that extra layer of security and make it more usable for the everyday person as well. And I think that is something, that is where the real potential lies, is the things that can be added on to the blockchain, I guess is what you could say, but and used, that the blockchain can be taken advantage of and used for.
I mean, I think that the big thing that you're talking about here is the fact that this is something that is not only future proof, meaning that the everyone in the future can use it, but it's sounding like what you're saying is all these applications that can be built on top of the blockchain is really what is world changing and what the people are going to use, right? Because blockchain technology in itself is not going to be used by the everyday person.
Mhm.
It's those applications like you're talking about, right, that are building on top of those that's exciting.
Exactly. And that's where we get into the real, I guess, bread and butter of what crypto is and what makes the blockchain so exciting for, not only us that have been in the crypto space, but eventually, the everyday person walking on the street that might not even realize that they're using an application that's been built on the blockchain.
I'm excited for the mass adoption phase of this technology for sure. And to kind of take it to the next step. So we've kind of explained, guys, what blockchain is. That's the start, right? And so when you look at the entire crypto space, understanding that this is the underlying technology, that's where you start to see the beauty here. And to take it a step further, smart contracts are the evolution two, if you will, of this space, right? You have the blockchain technology as building block one, and smart contracts are the building block two. And if we could quote, we pulled up an exact definition for you guys on what a smart contract is, and it states a smart contract is a computer program or a transaction protocol which is intended to automatically execute, control, or document legally relevant events and actions according to the terms of a contract or agreement. Wow, like that's kind of a mouthful. Crypto Kai, do you want to kind of take it from here and maybe break that down a little bit for our listeners?
Yeah, so the best way to think about this, um, is what I like to think about is in like a banking situation, right? So you're trying to send money to one of your friends, and normally that has to go through this trusted system, the bank, and you're very reliant on that information in the bank. But now with this smart contract, it is programmed to have certain settings in requirements to be met before it is issued. And as well, those details are checked through other things that we call oracles and node operators within the blockchain, yeah. And they get validated, and to make sure that the validity of that one individual smart contract has all the data requirements and are met in a secure and completely trustless manner before sending it on to the next person. So it kind of puts the power into, I guess, the person almost.
To kind of break down a little bit here more for you guys what the smart contracts are, is just imagine it being an automatically executing agreement, right? And so one of the examples that I saw online that I really liked, and I'm kind of paraphrasing a few of it, so forgive me if I kind of butcher it a little bit, but the way that it kind of explained it is imagine that company A is sending company B 1,000 computers, right? And when those 1,000 computers get there, and the manager or whoever's receiving those 1,000 computers signs off with a verified signature, right, through DocuSign or some of these other contract companies that are already on the blockchain. The second that that person signs, gone are the days where, oh hey, I'm sending you a check in the mail, or it will be invoiced through our system, because it was written, that agreement was written on a smart contract. The second that signature goes through, that money is instantly withdrawn from that bank account and instantly sent into the other one, right? And so it literally states that, hey, when the computers get to company B's location, and the second that a verified signature signs off, it automatically executes. That's the big thing, is that automatically executing point. And so it literally removes the inefficiencies in the system and automatically executes that agreement. It's super exciting. We're talking about mortgages in the future. We're talking about insurance. We're talking about so many industries that are plagued by inefficiency and fraud and all these other things. So smart contracts are just agreements that automatically execute. That's the big thing, the big paraphrase I would take away from that. And to kind of take it a step further and kind of ask the question of, CryptoKite, how can they be beneficial to the everyday consumers?
Yeah, I think these, like you were kind of getting into, they can really be used for any type of agreement. And kind of doing a little bit of a dive into the different areas that you were kind of touching on. I mean, you're looking at things like real estate, medical, insurance, which I know you covered, and then also things like elections. I mean, that's been a huge problem for us in the States for a while. And now with the use of blockchain voting systems and something like that, smart contracts would be able to validate the voter's identity to prevent multiple casted votes, and different things like that. So there's that extra, set of validity in there, giving that sort of security, so you don't have the election frauds that we've been claiming, over the past several elections. And then as well, you can see this in many different ways, like the banking example. You like you can't buy anything in or sell anything, and oh, it got there, and the person can't send you that, it doesn't end up sending you the money. Oh, it got lost in the mail. No, once it's sent, the money instantly goes. It eliminates just a complete line of fraud that we experience like every day in the world today. And I think that's the biggest use for it, and what a lot of people can be excited about is that extra layer of security and elimination of fraud.
I agree. I mean, imagine being able to, rest assured that, if you wrote a contract with someone, that there's not one side that can change anything, right? I mean, this will change business. What we're trying to say here, guys, is with a lot of words. So sorry if we're overcomplicating this a little bit for you guys, but the big thing here is imagine automatically executing contracts that are being verified through these very secure systems and are automatically going through and whatever those requirements that are written into them are automatically executing. So I know that this is a lot to take in, but that is kind of the paraphrase for you guys. Now, to kind of take it a step further here, when we look at the two building blocks that we have attached here already, or talked about here already, and then we take it one step further and we start looking at, okay, how do all of these projects communicate? How do all these blockchain networks communicate? How are all these smart contracts executing? What is those systems? And I think that is now where we branch into Chainlink, right? And oracles. And what Chainlink really does is it handles data delivery. Smart contracts, they need data. Blockchain networks, they need data input, right? And there's this massive problem of connecting these projects in the crypto space and then having data delivery, right? And so that's where Chainlink steps in. And this is why there was this our very first episode here on the show was Chainlink, where we covered over the Chainlink, the missing piece of the God protocol, is because Chainlink makes this DeFi revolution, these blockchain networks communicating with each other, a reality. And Crypto Kai, if you would, for our listeners, what is the use case for Chainlink? I mean, can you kind of break down a little bit for us? What are oracles?
Yeah, so oracles are individual pieces of this chain that Chainlink makes up. I mean, thus the name Chainlink, and they each bring in off-chain data on-chain, and they use it to validate different pieces of these smart contracts. And that is where you get your validity in these smart contracts. So Chainlink is this extra leg between bringing off-chain data on-chain and making this, just imagine a web of oracles that each are run by individual, they have nodes that are each run by individual companies that validate all this information. So when you start looking at this and you have multiple oracles in here that are validating it and ensuring that the data inside the contract is met correctly, you don't get the fraud that we were talking about before. And Chainlink, I mean, has multiple use cases. I mean, I believe there is a medium out there that's called the 77 use cases, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, it's the 77 use case, smart contract use cases for Chainlink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that does a deep dive into, I mean, some things that I haven't even gotten fully through on that yet and fully comprehend because some of them are so in depth. But what Chainlink really does, and it plays kind of into this exchange between these two or more parties that haven't been able to do anything before with this on network and off network, and brings this completely just decentralized from a physical trust location, and gives us this trustless protocol.
It's honestly so exciting when you start looking at like the way that Chainlink has built this system to interact with external data, right? Because when you start looking at what an oracle really is, and you did a great job of explaining it, but to kind of copy it from a definition on Google, an oracle is a way for a blockchain or smart contract to interact with external data, right? That's the big portion here. Is we're talking about external data that's not on chain, that's not on the blockchain networks, right? And so with blockchains being deterministic one-way streets, right, because they're operating in their own system, an oracle is a path between the off-chain and on-chain events, right? So we're talking about data from all the like weather sources, right? For insurance data, we're talking about crypto prices for these huge exchanges that need to make sure that they are communicating with other exchanges and verifying those prices, right? We're talking about casinos, right, that have their own internal systems that run the numbers to hey, this is the chance that you'll get this card, or their slot machines, right? We're talking about all these different data sources needing a way to communicate on chain and off chain. And that's what Chainlink does, right? And that's why it's so exciting when you start looking at, okay, Chainlink, it deals in data. It deals in data that is literally needed for every single project and every single company in the future. So its use case is global. That's the exciting part. Is Chainlink isn't just for DeFi or just for banking. It's just data, and there's so much data in the world, and that is why when people are so excited for Chainlink is because it's so multi-use. So that is kind of the what is blockchain, what are smart contracts, and then what is the 101 quick summary for Chainlink. Crypto Kai, is there anything other specifically on the 101 basic overview for Chainlink that you wanted to cover?
Um, Nothing besides like when you start thinking about as well, you mentioned why people get so excited about Chainlink, and I'm sure some of you are starting to kind of see this, and the technology behind this with all the use cases is, this is looked at as, the internet 2.0. You're like, it is groundbreaking what you can do with this in this extra layer to technology that we're able to do with bringing this off-chain data on-chain and making sure that that data is what causes the instant execution of these smart contracts. Where this can take us in the future is kind of, mind-boggling when you start really thinking about it. It's very exciting.
I agree. It's one of the things that makes me so excited for the future. And that kind of wraps up our first portion of the show, guys. The 101s, we want to give a high level overview of kind of what the technology that is propping up this space. Now to quickly run through just a few other things, right? When we're talking about crypto 101, another key factor here to understand is a lot of people think that this, for example, Bitcoin can be minted out of thin air, or that there's no cap, there's no rarity, right? Like it's just this magic internet money. And once again, the misinformation around that could not be further from the truth. And so, to kind of give you guys a high level overview here, almost all crypto projects in the crypto space have built-in rarity and built-in de-inflationary mechanisms. And so when we look at the biggest one, Bitcoin, which as we're recording the podcast is testing its another new all-time high, it has a built-in function automatically executed into the smart contracts in the blockchain that states that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, ever. There will never be any more. And a lot of us actually estimate that there's probably a solid, I think, Crypto Kai, I don't know if you've seen these numbers. I think it was like 1 million to like 1.5 million coins that are gone in landfills and computers and hard drives and people's wallets that they forgot the seed phrase to. So we're really looking at closer to, that 20 million to that 19.5 million coins total globally, right? And so that is the big thing here is you have all this technology propping it up, but what makes it valuable, or what makes it where is this factor that's making investors go crazy for it? And that's it. When you look at 20% of all US dollars ever created were created in 2020, and you're constantly printing cash, hyperinflating the US dollar, and then On the flip side, you have Bitcoin, which has a mining resource, so you have to actually mine it with computers and graphics cards, but then has a coin cap at 21 million. You start to understand why its market cap could cross a trillion, right? It's because it has rarity built into it. It has technology backing it up. And we talked about Chainlink for a second in the show, and obviously we're a Chainlink focused show. Chainlink has 1 billion coins. It'll never have any more than 1 billion coins. So when you start looking at the coin count and what makes it valuable, that's it. Rarity and de-inflationary mechanisms built into it. And that kind of takes us into the next part of the episode of the 101 is the volatility, right? And a lot of people get scared. Crypto Kai, I know that you have been an investor for a few months now. I mean, what, where have you kind of, do you have a happy spot during the red days and kind of trying to deal with this volatility that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the happy spot, right, is kind of built upon the research that you do getting into something like this. Um, in you have that trust in the project that you're investing into. So that's what kind of builds that happy spot when you have these red days. And then as well, from an investor standpoint, obviously, I mean, you always look to buy the dips. That's a little bit further on, from this conversation, but that does do the happy days, and you know that these market corrections are healthy in most of the time. So when you have that research backing your investment into these projects on these red days, even though it may seem, and seeing numeric values drop is hard to deal with, in the back of your mind, you know that this project is literally world changing, no matter, which one you believe that is. But the project is world changing for any given, time period, whatever it does. And that's what gets you through the red days and this volatility. Because I mean, one day you could be down 30%, the next day you could be up 10. So it crypto is a very wild ride. It is quite literally a roller coaster, with the swings that that we've experienced so far this year, that I'm sure you've experienced. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, what keeps you kind of, I guess, quote unquote, sane in these red days that we've seen? I mean, we've seen some pretty crazy red days already this year.
No, I think you hit it right on the head with research, right? And that's kind of where we're going with this show, guys. Like, if you can be educated as someone that is investing in crypto, and you can understand the volatility, that is the huge part. And the to take it to just tie it back to what we were talking about earlier in the show, the volatility is because of the coin count, guys. When you start looking at some of these projects that you're investing in and looking at the huge swings that happen is normally because of whales. And to define whales, a whale is a person that owns quite a lot of a crypto. Um, so when they sell, they own, say, 0.5% of the total supply. A big whale sells. That's a big portion of the supply of the total coins ever minted and created being sold or bought. That's where the huge volatility comes, percentage wise, right? And that is, if you can understand that, okay, hey, this volatility normally, if you invest in the right projects, comes back up. If you can understand that part, that is the big portion here. That's not to guarantee that if you invest in the right projects that it will increase in price. It's more along the lines of you won't get shaken out when the whales are selling. And so to answer your question longly, it's definitely the research. Research is what keeps you sane on the red days. And to kind of have you, to kind of ask you in a question format, Crypto Kai, I
Mhm.
mean, what what is it that makes crypto so scary to maybe the everyday person? If there were one thing that you would want to dispel about crypto that you hear every time that you start talking about crypto, what would it be?
Yeah, I think one, like we're talking about, validity scares a lot of people. A lot of people are worried. Oh, is this gonna take my money? Is this gonna drop to zero? Like, what? Who's backing it? And that's something that what we were just saying. You do the research on the individual coin, see the team, and see what it's backed by. But as well, there's so much just false information going around about like what crypto itself is tied to. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show. I mean, there was, I believe, some interaction or some post about this being tied to like terrorist organizations or hackers, and that could be, that's so far from what this is, and these are real people, like organization and company leaders and CEOs and people that have been in like the technology industry for a long time, trying to find new ways to change the world and to develop what is the new internet. um and I think the fear of the unknown is what makes crypto so scary to people. For I guess the long answer to kind of come around is it's the unknown. Crypto still has this new taste in everyone's mouth, and they don't exactly know what's going on. And it all really does tie back to research. I think that that's the most important thing. If you can take anything away from what we're trying to say on this episode, is research. I mean, do a deep dive. Take time to tear apart the white paper. Take time to tear apart their team. Make sure you understand the ins and outs of the crypto that you're going into, and it will completely eliminate the fear of whatever it might be with investing into crypto as a whole, and then also the possible validity of that specific coin based on whatever the coin kind of is and what it's trading at. So, I don't know about you, but like, what might have been your fear? I know my fear was literally the validity of crypto.
Well, the big fear that I hear a lot is it's people talking about, the volatility like we've been talking about here, right? But it's also, oh hey, what backs it up? Like most people don't understand that there is a rarity factor built into almost all cryptos. Now, this is not all cryptos, guys. This is there are some projects that are garbage that can mint as many coins as they want. XRP is one of those. There's several others that don't have this massive rarity built into it, and those are the projects you steer away from. Any project that can to mint as many tokens as they want, I will never recommend and never personally invest in. That's the big fear I've heard. So I think that if most people can understand that almost all projects have a rarity built-in function to it, I think that would dispel some fear.
Mhm. I
So,
completely agree.
um, so guys, that is Link Centric's way of doing a 101 with you guys, breaking down blockchain, breaking down smart contracts, kind of giving you guys a 101 overview of why Chainlink is so crucial to this space, and explaining to you guys the volatility. That last portion of speaking about the volatility, I know that may be scary to some of you guys, but feel free to ask in our Discord if any of you guys are in our Discord, or if you guys have questions on any of that we've covered here in the show. Feel free to reach out to us. So I want to kind of take the end of the show and kind of go in a fun direction. Let's think about the technology that we are excited about in the future, but imagining scenarios that this technology is in our everyday life. Like if I were to start Crypto Kai, imagine walking in to a voting center, right, with these computers that are automatically linked in to the blockchain networks via Chainlink being its oracle, and gone are the days where we have to use this paper ballot that can be fraudulently counted, or have these massive inefficient systems in between. And the second that you press, "Hey, I'm voting for Joe Smo 1," it recognizes that vote, instantly counts it, and is instantly verified. That, to me, that is one of the most exciting technologies that what we've just talked about could enable, right? It eliminates all this crazy fraud that's in our current systems. I mean, if you had to give us a scenario to imagine that you're excited about, Crypto Kai, what would it be?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that I would be excited about is like almost like a proof of purchase type of situation, right? So you can imagine where one you have this DeFi as well in here. You walk into any sort of store, anything at like when you're trying to buy something, one, let's this gives you the access to be able to make transactions through the blockchain as well, and also through some sort of application on your phone. For example, like what MobiPay is trying to do, and that can be used through that transaction can be validated through, like you said, the Chainlink oracles to make sure that the price feeds match up on any of those. So one, like if you're trying to make this payment with your bank or with a individual person selling you an item, you know that that price is validated through the blockchain. So like I'm very excited for the different use cases this can give like the everyday person, I guess. I want to see crypto in the advantages and benefits of it get into the hands of as many people as possible, and give them the chance to kind of see what they can do with it, and the different possibilities and the security behind it. I think I'm most excited about rather than like this imagine this as well. I mean, is literally just the security behind it. I think that alone can completely transform the lives that all of us live without having this extra fear of our lives on the internet. Because eventually, I think this integrates its way like into our browsers even. I mean, Chainlink has a partnership with Google, so when you think about that, I mean, if this gets integrated into our browsers and the way we like act on our browsers, everything gets validated on chain, and that could eventually get to the point where no website can even be fraudulent. When you start thinking about it like that, it has to meet
That's kind of
specific,
cool to think about.
yeah, like very specific, because you can switch up the little metadata of websites and make fake websites to kind of scam people. And when you think about this stuff being put on chain, then
So I see what you're saying. So what you're talking about is kind of like that locked emblem at the top. Sometimes, you know what I mean,
yeah.
where it shows secure. You're saying that we could have websites in the future that maybe have like a blockchain logo all the way to the left, that confirms that this is the legitimate site of Nike or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like that. That's a cool technology to be excited about for sure. I mean, there's just so many technologies coming out, and to kind of, I think the last little portion here that a lot of people probably don't know about is the flash loan services that DeFi offers. Like, so to imagine this, guys, imagine going on to say a platform like Av, right? And you go on there and you deposit some Chainlink or any other collateral that they accept, and you needed to bail someone out of prison, or your tire popped and you needed to buy new tires and you didn't have any cash. Imagine being able to go on this platform, use the collateral that you've already purchased, and instantly get a loan, right? Like, this is something that the DeFi space already offers, but it's not easily usable for most people in the crypto space. That is something that I am excited to see in the future, is everyday people benefiting from these platforms, benefiting from these types of services. So I know we could talk about this for forever. Crypto Kai, we always talk about it anyways, but this is the 101, guys. We're gonna have some more 102, 103 episodes. We'll kind of take some feedback from you guys on what you guys liked in this episode, and what you guys would like to see in future episodes. But thank you guys so much for listening through to the end. Crypto Kai, did you want to end off the show on anything cool?
Just remember, when getting into stuff like this or trying to pill anyone, research. That's the most important thing to remember from anything that we've said, I believe, is research. Make sure that everything you're looking into is backed. So,
I think that is a solid message to end off the show on. As always, guys, feel free to give us a follow on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join our Discord. Thank you guys so much, and have a fantastic day.